Welcome back to another video. My name is Carl Goslin, and I'm on a bit of a roll today with making these videos. So this is the third one I'll have made today. If again you're thinking, I'm sure that guy always wears the same motherfucking Atari t-shirt in all his videos. It's just because the last three have all been made in the same day. The lighting here is really good today. It's actually a bright sunny day in the UK, which makes a change. So I thought I'd make use of this light and get some videos done. So today's video is probably the last one I'm going to do about this DOF reality motion platform. Perhaps apart from maybe, you know, another demonstration video of me actually racing, you know, through a rally stage, you know, perhaps with some really big jumps or some really lumpy ground, just to demonstrate how it works in those situations. But aside from that, this is probably the last one. I've covered everything in all my other videos. If you haven't seen them, there's an installation, setup and review. There is a video about how to balance it, which is super important. If you've got one, if you're looking to buy one, you must watch this video. Well, you haven't got to watch the video, but you must balance your platform or it won't work properly. There's a video about why you can't use dampening springs. And there is a video showing how responsive the motion platform is. So if you're interested in any of those things, take a look at my sim racing playlist on my channel. I may link it in the description below, or just click on my channel. It's not hard to find. You know what you're doing, it's fucking YouTube. And you can check all those videos out. Today's one is going to be about the actual software itself that you use to control the motion platform with, which is the Sim Racing Studio software. So let me get that loaded up now. In fact, let's start the screen capture software. That's always useful. Yeah, that's recording, good news. So Sim Racing Studio, it's here. Let's get this loaded up. Now this is the same software that Sim Racing Studio used to control their Powerwind system. And actually I've got a video coming on a DIY Powerwind or wind simulation kit that you can make for, I mean, what did it cost me? Less than 40 or 50 quid to do, and it works really well. You know, you don't need to spend £200, £250 on some of these pre-made kits. It's really not necessary. So that video is coming, you know, maybe next week, maybe the week after, as I want to get around to doing it. But again, if I'm a new channel, I appreciate any subscriptions. If you find this stuff interesting, you know, click that button. Or if you know, if you think you might be interested in what's coming up, same thing. But yeah, so anyway, back to the software. It's used to control their Powerwind system. It can control their the shakers, you know, tactile transducers. Again, I've got a video coming about that, using different software. Again, not this one. And then what else have we get on different tabs? So there's a whole list of motion platforms and full motion rigs that they support with this software. It's all the DOF reality stuff, looking at it, H2, H3, H6, P2, P3, P3, UP6, blah, 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 blah. All those different ones. The numbers represent the number of axis, etc. But for my application, I don't know why I just opened that up. Go away. For my application, it's just for the M2 motion platform. So let's go through what the sliders do, because this is what's important. So we'll go through one at a time. First of all, you make sure you've chosen the model M2, which is obviously what we've got. You make sure under mode it's on, under status it says not connected, because I haven't actually got it connected. I'm just showing the software. There's no need to have it plugged in right now. But imagine you got it plugged in, it will say connected. So the first slider, power, it's kind of obvious. That limits the maximum amount of movement that the motion platform will do. So leave it at 100%. If for any weird reason you found that even with all the other sliders down really low, it was still throwing you around far too much, you could limit the overall power. But I see no reason why you would ever need to do that. But nonetheless, that's what the power slider's for. The next one down, smoothing. Now, this limits the extremes of motion. So let's say you're drifting in a rally stage and you drift from left to right. That's quite an extreme change of direction. Smoothing will limit that second change of direction. So you'll do your first slide around the first corner and your seat will launch all the way over. And then if you immediately drift back the other way and snap the car back the other way, smoothing will limit just how far it snaps back in the other direction. Now for me, I only have that on maybe 10. I really don't have it very high at all because I want my motion platform, the movement in my seat, to reflect what would happen, or as close to what would happen in real life as is possible with the limitations of what we've got here. So if I'm snapping left to right on a rally stage around a hairpin or whatever, I want my seat to throw me hard left, hard right. You know, that's the experience I want. There is this debate where people say less is more when it comes to motion platforms or full motion rigs. And I might do a video where I speculate my thoughts on that because I don't necessarily agree with that, specifically with rally driving. I want my experience in my seat, in my sim rig here, to reflect as close to a real life, obviously within limitations, a real life experience as possible. So yeah, that's what smoothing does, limits the from one extreme to the other type scenarios. Boost is the next slider down, and that slider will increase the sensitivity to small movements, little lumps and bumps and curves, and to be honest, it's almost like an overall detail boost. So it will ramp up everything by a little bit. And again, I can't really remember what I've got mine on, but let's just, because what we see on the screen here now is just how it loads up. Let's see if I actually go to games and put it to manual, I should be able to then scroll down to Dirt Rally and then have a look at those sliders, and they should, yeah, so there's my Dirt Rally 2 profile, what I actually use. So there we go, smoothing's on 10, like I said, boost I have on 60. I've just explained what that does. That increases the smaller details, but it does also increase everything a little bit. The next slider we come to is pitch. I went over this very briefly in the installation, setup and review of the whole platform, but this is a more in-depth video. So pitch, again, it's literally when the vehicle pitches down or up, for when you are going up or down a hill. And roll will be the same, whether you go up a bank, you know, in a rally stage perhaps, or whether we're on a banked oval track. That is what roll is. And again, the way I've configured this is so that the seat moves as close to a one-to-one as I feel you do in real life. Because you've got to remember here, this platform simulates G-forces. It's not like a full motion rig that actually lifts you up and moves you from side to side, your entire body, your legs, everything. This is simulating G-force. It's simulating that feeling under acceleration where you get pushed back into your seat hard. It's simulating that feeling under hard braking where you would be pulled hard against your seat belt. And it's simulating the feelings of when you corner hard, you're pushed into the side of your chair, you know, into those bolsters in a good bucket seat. That's what this is trying to simulate. Don't get it confused with a full motion rig that not only does this, it applies other feelings of actual physical movement as well. So the way these settings you see here are tuned is to give me that one-to-one feeling of, you know, I went out in my car and I'm driving around and I'm weaving down the road like this and paying attention to how it feels in my seat, you know, at slow speeds and then at higher speeds. And then I came home, sat down in my rig and sat there tuning this software so that when I'm doing the same sort of movements at similar speeds, as close to as I could remember from being out on the road 10 minutes earlier, that I got the same feeling. You know, and you've probably all done it, driven down the road and just wobbled from side to side for fun, playing around with your mates or whatever. You get pushed into the seat reasonably aggressively, even with a relatively small amount of steering input and at, you know, quite slow speeds, say 30 miles an hour. So that's how these settings you see here, if you want to try them out for yourself, will give you as close to a realistic feeling as what I believe I've tuned it to anyway. So yeah, we've done those. So where are we up to now? Yaw isn't used. Obviously, it's a 2-axis platform. Sway is what I just described about, you know, left and right down the road, cornering hard, drifting round corners. That is what sway is. Now, I've got that up at 18 on the slider, but in addition to that 18, I've adjusted another setting, what I'm going to call an offset setting, and it's not obvious that it's even there. What happened was I had sway all the way up, and for me it still wasn't moving enough. When I was going down the road at 20-30 miles an hour, you know, swaying, steering left to right, the seat wasn't moving at all. And I thought, well, this is a bit disappointing. You know, if it was real life, I'd be doing this in my seat, and it wasn't doing it. So I dug a bit deeper on the Sim Racing Studio website through their documentation. It's all there. It's not the easiest necessarily to find, but it is there. And anyway, I discovered that if you actually click on the word sway, or any of the words, pitch, roll, yaw, sway, surge, blah, 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 all of those, it brings up this box here. And this is like an offset or a scale adjustment for the individual slider that you're on. Now, by default, it was at 10. By lowering the value, it actually increases the overall level of adjustment for the slider versus what it was before. So by bringing it down from 10 to 7, it actually meant each step of the 20 on the slider had a bigger effect on the actual range of motion on the platform. So I put it down to 7, and that meant I could then settle on 18 in the slider itself, and that now gives me that one-to-one sort of movement that I would expect to have, you know, in relation to how it feels in real life. So on to the next sliders. Surge, accel, surge, and then you've got acceleration and deceleration. Now again, with these, I actually had an issue, I think it was with the deceleration. Let's have a look. Yes, I did. The deceleration. I was playing Dirt Rally, and I mentioned this in the first video again, where I'm setting it all up. When I was braking, I was not being pushed forward in the seat. Not really at all, no matter how hard I pressed the pedal. And again, I thought there was a problem here. If I down changed aggressively and let it, you know, whee, sort of like banging off the limiter by dropping it down a gear, then the seat would pitch forward. And if I let off the accelerator after accelerating hard, like, you know, say second gear, bang, and then off, it would pitch forward a little bit. But braking, just no matter how hard I braked, it just didn't seem to do it. But anyway, I spoke with the guys at Sim Racing Studio, and they said a combination of adjusting the boost, which of course increases the smaller details and overall details of everything, and then again adjusting this max telemetry window that you see here, should be able to sort it out. So I put it to 5, again, meaning every step of that main slider for deceleration does more. And after a little bit of tweaking, lo and behold, when I brake, I pitch forward. I mean, really quite aggressively forward, now, as you would expect, based on how hard you press the pedal, of course. These are not prefixed amounts of movement. The amount that you're moved is based on the G-force telemetry sent out of the game. And this is by far the easiest way to do this, because you could have a slider that works based on braking force, because telemetry data is sent out for how far and hard you're pressing the brake pedal. So you could have it set to that, but you know, that doesn't really equate. If you're doing 5 miles an hour and you stamp on the brake, your deceleration G-force is nowhere near as great as if you're doing 100 miles an hour and stamp on the brake. So the way this software works, it's all down to the G-force telemetry coming out of the game, which scales perfectly based on the speed you're doing, the angle you're steering at, how hard you're braking, how hard you're accelerating. But yeah, so that's something you need to know. Click on the actual physical words themselves: sway, surge, heave, traction loss. We don't use traction loss, but you get the idea. And then you can tweak the step size or the scaling of each slider until you get it just right. And again, going back to how this works based on G-force, when you get in, say, I don't know, 180 horsepower Fiesta R2, for example, acceleration isn't that great. So you don't get thrown back that hard in your seat. If you get in a Group B Audi Quattro with 550 horsepower and you plant your foot in that, fucking seat throws you back. Something crazy. And it really gives you a feeling of acceleration, even though you're not moving. Just that initial wallop into the back of the seat is really very impressive and really works well. So yeah, spend some time learning the software, pay attention to what I've said in this video, because again, this doesn't come with any documentation. You have to go to the website and trawl through a few bits and pieces to try and find all these individual things. That's why I thought it was worth doing a video, because it took me a while to get the best out of the platform, because I didn't fully understand how to tune the software correctly. But that really is it. Heave, let's just mention Heave, because that is used. Again, I've got that all the way up. I don't think I've adjusted, oh, I have. I've adjusted that down to 1. I don't actually remember doing that. So either it's defaulted to 1, or I have done it and I don't remember, but that would be a hell of an adjustment. Anyway, yeah, I'm pretty sure I haven't done it actually. So anyway, I've got Heave all the way up. Heave it simulates when you go over bumps, like a speed bump or a lump in a rally stage. The chair will go back as you go up it, and then it will go forward as you come down it, to give you a feeling of going up and down, which works really well actually. It's, you know, considering it is only 2 axis and you can't be lifted up and dropped down, it actually works pretty well. And again, I've got that all the way up for Dirt Rally, because it's a rally game, and if you're going over lumps and bumps and jumps, you want to feel you're going over lumps and bumps and jumps. And again, when you go over an actual jump where you take off, the seat will pitch you back as you're going up. And I've got tactile transducers as well. So when you take off and your wheels leave the ground, all the vibrations, everything just stops. And you get that feeling of you know, traveling through the air. And then you pitch over, and as you hit the ground again, tactile transducers kick in with a hell of a wallop. You know, the steering wheel gives you a wallop, the seat gives you a wallop as you impact. The feeling's really, really good. But yeah, that's what Heave does. And again, these are my settings for Dirt Rally 2. The only other game I can show you that I've got it set up for today on this machine, because I have another machine upstairs that I sometimes use, is R Factor 2. So let's just scroll down. Is this alphabetized? Yeah, it is. Let's scroll down, have a look at R Factor 2. So these are my settings for R Factor 2. Again, they're quite different to the DOF Reality, Dirt Rally, it's all the same. They're quite different to Dirt Rally, but each game puts out its telemetry. I guess the telemetry stream is the same. Well, I don't know, maybe it's not actually. I have no clue, in fact, I'm talking shit. I have no idea. But anyway, these are the settings I found to work well with R Factor 2. And again, I don't need to explain it all. Just if you've got R Factor 2 and you want a good place to start with your settings, there you go. Use those ones. Tweak away if you find they're not to your liking. But I think that's it for today, or for this video anyway. There's nothing really else to show you with this software, but I thought it would be handy to do, because now I've taken you through the whole process from installing the M2 Motion platform, you know, balancing, why you can't use dampening springs, why it's important to balance it, showing you how responsive it is, and now showing you how to actually tune the software to get the best out of it, at least in my experience with it. I'm no expert, but you know, I'm doing my best. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. If you enjoy this sort of stuff, I'm a new channel, a subscription would be really, really appreciated, just to try and get the ball rolling for me, and get this content out there to more people, you know, in the sim community. There'll be another video next Friday, as I mentioned earlier. I've got ones coming about wind simulation, and we can debate whether that's realistic or not another time. There'll be ones coming for tactile transducers. I'll be doing videos about DIY load cell installation for handbrakes, and possibly for the brake pedal as well, and a DIY handbrake, in fact, all together as one. I'm going to be doing videos about the GT Omega Arc cockpit itself, because I had to do some modifications to that to make it more rigid, to eliminate flex. They're quite simple and they're really worth doing, so there'll be a video coming about that. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff coming. So Sim Dash software, how to use that, how to fit a tablet, and all. There's literally, I've got a list as long as my arm of sim-related videos that are going to be coming out. So keep an eye on things and have a good day. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.